Welcome to Campaign Middle East on the Record podcast, and I'm excited to introduce Elda Choucair. She's the CEO at Omnicom Media Group MENA and currently drives the business group transformation and coaching future leaders, of course. To kick things off, welcome Elda.
Thank you.
So I hear you're an avid mountaineer. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I love that we start from the end. We just launched actually our latest challenge internally. We're going to announce it to the public soon. It's been our 10th year as Omnicom Media Group that we do this. So 10 challenges back, a group of 25 people went up the Kilimanjaro and summited. And from then on, we got hooked to the potential of what these challenges do to us as executives and as a team. My first challenge was in 2017. It was climbing base camp Everest. 13 days through, it was an incredible experience. I didn't know it yet. I didn't realize it yet, but it does change. These experiences do change and shape you. I became a much more conscious person about my fitness and my health, about how I look after my physical well-being. And since then, I've been to Mongolia. We crossed the desert, the wilderness of Mongolia. We summited the highest mountain there. We've gone to Peru, to Machu Picchu, and that was also incredible in its own way. And last year we attempted the summit of three mountains in the Alps in both France and Italy, and jumping over the crevasses. Nothing was more scary for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, to survive all of that and do it with a bunch of people that you work with and getting to know them better. I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling.
Yeah, it definitely pushes your personal
Yeah,
boundaries and
yeah,
it's a great way to connect with your team and
absolutely.
community. That's nice. And I'm really curious to know what's your leadership style and how do you lead others?
Yeah, great question. And I get asked this question often, and I think it's such a simple question. You think the answer would be simple, but the reality is, I think as you evolve as a leader, you realize it's absolutely wrong to have only one style or one way of doing things. The reality is, whether it's the organization, the team, the circumstances, the conditions, they demand a leader to be so many things and to have different approaches to different problems. So I think when you have a style, then you become rigid. So, but nonetheless, there are things that are kind of principles that guide you as a leader. These principles for me are, when you decide as an organization that we put people first, so it becomes an organization that is more empowering, that holds people accountable and responsible, gives them the responsibility and the authority. So I'm a lot like that, but it doesn't mean also that I'm too distant from what's going on. So I'm both near and far, depending on the situation, depending on the client, depending on the team, on the circumstances. So, but I can be all of that. And I think that gives my team comfort as well and confidence that if they need me, I'll be there. But if they don't need me, then really they're on their own. And that is the flexibility that matters at the end, because you got to have the elasticity to be the kind of leader who either leads from the front, if it's needed, if you need to be right in the front, or leads from the back, depending on what are the conditions.
Yeah, it's really about being approachable and flexible and
Yeah, that's
it's not
an
a one size fits it all.
right,
Yeah,
right.
definitely. And what drives you every day? What pushes you?
It's also a great question. I love this question. I don't have one answer. Uh, when I If I were to jump on the answer, I'd say I just love what I do. but it's also misleading, because if you think you're only going to succeed at doing something you love is not enough. You also, I listened to Scott Galloway. He's really one of the thought leaders in marketing, and he's very vocal, especially these days with what's going on in the States. But he keeps repeating the same concept of, we keep telling the young generation that follow your dream, do what you love, but that's not a guarantee for success. I think what's a guarantee for success is doing that, but also finding what you're good at, finding what you can excel at. It's aligning who you are, your principles, but also your skill set, your abilities, the experiences that you have accumulated, the learnings, what you studied. All of these things are factors that should guide you in terms of what you want. And then if you really know, and you will discover bit by bit if there are elements that you're good at, then grow them, nurture them, find people who can help you progress in this area. And with time, when you become good at something, you love it. And if you're good at something and you love it, then you succeed.
That's good words. And in terms of challenges and setbacks, what stands out and how did you overcome them?
Oh my God, there's so many, so many mistakes, so many
Yeah.
challenges, so many setbacks. But I can't remember, one in particular. What I will tell you is that I've been with Omnicom 18 years now. It's been an amazing journey. Um, to say that I haven't had setbacks, challenges, or even mistakes is absolutely wrong. What's amazing is that when you have an 18-year record, you kind of, the mistakes are forgotten and the setbacks are buried somewhere, and you just you don't remember them anymore. Um, and I think if I were to say or add anything to anyone listening is, of course of course you make mistakes, or of course you have challenges and barriers, and these could be so diverse. It could be people you're working with who you're not really aligned with, or it could be business that a pitch that we lose, or it could be a client who's dissatisfied and it's just you don't know what to do. It could be working with a team, and the team is not doing well, or there are people who are making their own mistakes and you need to deal with them. You deal with situations in the wrong way, you say the wrong things, you pick the wrong time. So many things that can go wrong. I think the some of these some of these incidents you can correct, and some of them they just have to play their course. And the best advice is, let time also help you and be on your side. And sometimes we just not gotta be patient with ourselves and just a little bit self-forgiving. And sometimes we have to, just own up to our mistakes or challenges, and that helps too. And but the best part is time passes and you forget about them. So when you ask me a question like that, and I can't really be so precise in giving you a
Yeah.
very specific it's because there's so many of them,
Yeah.
and it's hard to pick one. But it's also to say, I'm very comfortable with whatever happened, because I think where I am today and what I am today, it's a gross of all of these things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of it.
Yeah. And as they say, time heals everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious to know what's helped you become so successful.
Well, thank you for first of for defining me as successful. I mean, it's such a it's such a relative concept, success. What is success? Sometimes people, and I know that within even my company, so many people think, I never want to be a CEO. That's not necessarily my ambition. And I think more and more people in your generation, they don't think this is the ultimate success. It's not necessarily what they want. Some people, success to them is, raising their kids, seeing their kids grow to become, their dream kids, good people, successful in their own life and their own ways. I think for me, I've always been true to myself. So I think that helped me a lot. I don't think of myself as successful. I don't think this is something that you arrive to, you become successful, because any day you can, it's a title, it's a, what do you call it? It's a rank. You could lose that rank. Any day you can, just make a big mistake, or again, it's not to be scared of mistakes, but it's about also having the humility of really what is success. And I think with time, even our perspective of what's we think is success to us changes. So priorities change. Today, what's important for me or what I feel I'm proud of, maybe in 10 years' time will be completely irrelevant. All I want to do is go do my gardening and, just spend time with my loved ones. And that to me would be success at the in that time. Um, but I hope I give you enough insights today. If anyone wants to, if I'm able to inspire people to, push themselves, that's something I've done. I've always thought, I have always had the, of course I can, of course, the can do attitude. I think it's a super strong tool to drive you. Um, in my mind, there's always a way forward. So I never let anything stand in my way. No naysayers, no barriers, no conditions. I just never gave up. I think
Yeah.
that's for me and I'd say that to everyone. Just don't give up.
Yeah. And you're balancing your career with two kids, so I think
Yeah.
that's great. And wanted to ask, what advice would you give to the next generation of leaders, particularly the youth?
I think everybody has the ability to become a leader, and I think you you don't sit down when you're 20 or 25 or 30 or 35 and say, you know what am I going to do in the future? I want to become a leader. You don't do that. I don't think it's not how it's done. I think you discover yourself over time. When you see how you work with other people, are you able to inspire them? Are you coaching them? Are you benefiting them in a way or another? And you discover that there are aspects of leadership that you find in yourself. And then what you do is you do more of those. You do more of the things that help others. Because really, leadership is not about me being the boss. Leadership is about me helping others succeed, me helping others become better leaders. That's really what a good leader is. Good leader is not the smartest person in the room, is the person who would help others who've got it to be in the spotlight, to give them the opportunity to bring out that talent. Leadership is about making tough decisions when no one else would, when it's hard. Leadership is about making choices when they have so many choices and you have to make decisions fast, and sometimes take the chance that your decisions might be wrong. Leadership is also wanting to do, it's the responsibility. You can't say I want to be the boss but I don't want to be responsible. So many people are scared of responsibility, but you can't be accountable and not responsible. It's a double-edged sword. With it comes authority but also huge responsibility. So it's not for people who don't want to who only want the glory of leadership, right? So for me, the new generation, I think the difference between the generation of today, maybe, people like you, Sonia, maybe there's a generation and a half between me and you, but there's also one or two generations now, just coming into the workforce, and maybe in 20, 30 years they're going to be the bosses of all these companies. And I think that the key difference is that you guys have been way more exposed to things than us, right? I look at my kids, and I mean, what they are aware of today are things that maybe I was in my 30s. Some of these things I discover now. I discover along with them, my 16-year-old or my 14-year-old sons. Um, so imagine, the amount of exposure you've traveled, you've been exposed to information, news, different people, way more than my generation. So there's a huge amount of shortcuts that you have than what we have. I think the key challenge is which I'm seeing more people in the industry, especially in our company, they struggle with is you know how to do the job, you know how to do the job well, right? So technically you're very well equipped, you're quite exposed. So, with all that information, is if it's a question of knowledge, you've got it. Where we will kind of get a bit disoriented or confused when we talk about how can I grow into a leadership role and I'm 25 or I'm 30, let's say, it's the question of experience and a question of maturity, right? And it's very difficult to explain to someone that you still need few years to get there. How do you explain that when they know it? They know all the aspects of the job, right? Especially if you're working in an industry where it's based on people and based on there's an element of art, not just science. There's an element of just understanding how do you deal with people, how do you deal with difficult conversations, how do you deal with difficult situations, what decisions to make. A lot of people face these situations and they become indecisive because they're scared of the consequences. But with time, if you've tried and maybe sometimes failed, then you become more confident, and that's the maturity and the experience you build with time, and therefore you become a better leader because you make better decisions, because you handle things better, because you see what I mean. And these are the things that I feel as a leader working with the young generations. This is the part which is really difficult because it's hard to explain. The only thing that will work is to have trust that you're in good hands. As a young executive, am I in good hands? Am I in the right company? Do I believe in the leadership of the company? Do I believe in the direction of the company? Would I get advice if I ask? Would I get help if I ask? Do these people have my best interest in the sense that, in general, because again, it's so personalized and it's hard to have personalized kind of career path advice when you have 500 people, for example, in the organization. But there's a part on you as a young executive to kind of also push for yourself, go and find answers. And sometimes you won't be satisfied with the answers. That's okay, as long as with time, also have a little faith in where you're going. Not everything can be explained, or not everything can be understood. That's also the other thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And in terms of your role, how do you get creative?
How do I get creative?
Yeah.
Wow. Uh, I I love I love when people come up with new ideas. I've always thought that there's a must be a better way to do something. So even when I started, I remember we used to work on some mundane, sort of boring reports, but they're a must. You must have them. You must do them. They're so fundamental to the job that has to be done. But I always thought, instead of getting bored with that same Excel or Word or whatever report, how can I make it more interesting to myself first, not only the client? And there's always one tiny little tweak that you can do, whether it's where to put the logo or what font to use, to how does the report read, or can I say the same information in a different way. So really, for me, creativity is not just coming up with this great fantastic idea or this new film or this new way to do the dance on TikTok, or all of these are creative things, which I know you guys feel excited about. This is creativity in the sense of arts, let's say, and maybe social media. But I think for me, creativity is anything you do. If you ask yourself, can I do it better? Is there another way? Can I do, can I find new solutions to the same old boring problem, which keeps recurring? Is there a different way we can do it? And you'll be surprised if you ask yourself enough, if you push yourself, how much more you can surprise yourself and others. So creativity can happen in even uh, I can't think of anything more mundane than reading the newspaper. Can I read the newspaper in a different way? Can I do it while walking? Can I do it while I'm on a treadmill? I mean, isn't that creativity when you figure out a different way of doing the same old thing, where you get out of it much more than what it used to give you? So the surprise element is also nice. And if you can surprise others and surprise yourself, that's creativity.
Yeah. Or read the book from the end to the
Oh my God, I've
beginning.
never tried that, but the danger is you don't read the book.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a wrap. And it's been a pleasure to have you, Elda. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your career journey. And yeah, we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.